anybody pops into the chat. Still a strange thing going live by myself. I never thought I'd be that guy. I never thought I'd be that guy to just go live, but here I am. Yeah, I'm gonna do stuff while I'm waiting on you guys. How's that sound? So I plan on racing tomorrow or Saturday. That's church. Hey, what's going on, Bill? Yeah. I thought I was supposed to have a guest today, but I hadn't heard anything since it got mentioned. Wesley had mentioned a gentleman that might be interested in having a conversation. Haven't heard anything since, so it's okay. I will continue to do what I do. Oh, look at this. Thinking about running this dang thing this weekend. Oh, why? Yes, yeah. I'm against my better judgment. I'm thinking about running the Open and the Clone this weekend, but how many classes is the question? I got. So you have to run. It's Burris track, so you have to run Burris at AMS for the Clone. For the money races and all that, but the UAS ride is open tire, so now I'm prepping the prepping the Vegas just in case I decide to, if I get a hair up my butt to run the Open. I probably should. call me suspicious that things aren't going to go that well. I like I said, I've mentioned previously, I've already made adjustments on the Open to change the scaling percents, and I'm going to try some different stuff because what I was doing wasn't working. So I don't know what I'm missing, but I'm going to rescale it, and I think that's the plan. I got to shoot a video for Sunday after I get off here. And then I am going to probably scale both chassis tonight. Do you buy new tires? No, I'm broke. I don't have new tires. I have lots of used stuff. Yes, flipping tires wouldn't be a bad idea. I have some Vegas here that I was gonna flip, and then I decided not to flip them because I have a next to new set that was brand new last year that doesn't have much done to them. I didn't want to get crazy and over prep them though, because chances are with a bigger race at this track, it's probably going to be dry and dusty, and I don't want my Vegas punching 25 to run a dry, dusty track. I would like them to be up a little bit. No, I plan the clones sitting here. Just there's the clone already. I'd like to get it on the scales, see where it's at. I've made some adjustments over the past couple, 2-3 races, and I haven't been on scale since. So I think I'd like to know where I'm at. I'm new to the UAS, and I've been running flat carts. Any advice from adding the wing? Side panels, you're going to be perfectly fine. It's just going to give you. Why are my glasses always crooked? I'm probably the only one that freaking notices that, but they are. If you're just adding side panels, you're not going to notice a ton of difference, except for you can kind of lean on the air when you get into the corner. Does this thing go up a minute more? There. Let's stop looking down. I will forewarn you, if you add any kind of back panel or wing on the back, if you add any kind of wicker. All right, so, here. We'll go look at my wedge. I'm going to turn you around here. All right, so I got this down. I'm going to show you guys. Do you see how flat I have that? And there's a reason for that. because any kind of, if you have what would be called a wicker, say this was just flat instead of an actual wing, and you had a little wicker standing up here, anything like that is going to cause a tremendous amount of drag. And you're not worried about drag so much with opens because they have so much power. But what you are, you're going to find yourself getting tight into the corner. So even though most of us, run some sort of back panel, or we run a wing like I do, you keep that darn near flat, because the more you tip that, the more it engages the rear. It's going to force the rear of the cart down, especially at speed. The faster you go, the more it's going to plant the rear of the cart into the ground, and you're going to find yourself getting tight. But as far as if you just put on side panels, or if you just have a flat plate behind you, a backboard as they're called, it's not going to make that big of a difference. Maybe just a hair as far as downforce goes, but that side force, you're able to lean on the air once you get into the corner, and it stabilizes the cart a lot. Like if you were to take the exact same cart, say my open here, and then I were to go out and run laps with my wing, or my wedge and wing on, it's going to handle one way. If you take that off and go out and run with it, like once you can't lean on the air anymore, it's a handful. Two classes tough. Well, so here's the deal. If I planned on running two classes with the clone anyway, which they're 50 lap features. That's driving me nuts again. 50 lap features, so there's 100 laps. But if I run the clone in the open, I believe it's only going to be probably 20, maybe 25 laps with the open, because they just, it's not a great idea to try and run opens 50 laps. First off, fuel, clutches, the whole shebang. I mean, attrition's going to be ludicrous. People will be dropping out left and right. So I assume 20 to 25 laps is all the opens are run. So there's only 75 laps that I'd be running, running two different classes. But the open is like running four different open class, or clone classes, because it's so much to hold on to them damn things. And I'm just curious if I have enough stamina for this weekend to do that. Some jerk has been pushing himself in the gym all week long, trying to do PRs and dumb stuff, and it's probably a bad week to be doing that. But yeah. Okay. Yeah, no. So yeah, the young thing is a very real thing. I mean, I'm not that old, but 47. I'm pushing that 50 marker, and it takes a lot of me in the gym to be able to hold the wheel with a lot of the younger kids, and they honestly can deal with bumps and stress more than I can. Like I'm real subject to, if you bounce my back off of something too many times, I tend to give up. It's terrible. Two wings on the rear. Oh yeah, yeah. That'll do. What's up, BK? Appreciate you guys coming in. Yeah. So Wesley thought I hadn't heard from him, so he's super busy still. That's I apologize for that, but it is what it is. This was kind of his idea to do this live thing, and then I've taken it over, which is fine. I have no problem doing it. I'm kind of dedicated to do it on Thursdays. And he had thought of having basically guests, friends of his, people who are super knowledgeable in the sport, come in, and he had mentioned somebody. I was like, cool. I don't actually know that guy, but it doesn't matter. I meet new people all the time. I'm not afraid to engage in conversation with anybody, especially racers. We can bounce stuff and experiences off one another. I hadn't heard from him on this person showing up or not. So, and I'm not even positive of the name. So I mean, not to, I'm forgetful, and I'm drawing a blank now that I'm saying it. But it's okay. I can get on here and ramble. We've seen me do it before. So, but yeah, we have. So I got the Burris. Again, I do not have a lot of money anymore. It's 33A, SS 33A. See that right there? Yeah, that's the newest Burris 33 I have. We'll see if they hold up. I'm going to be racing a bunch of people on 2024, so we'll see. It does mean, however, the longer a tire were to cure, obviously it's been curing 5 years, but I have surfaced everything and brought the freshest that I could have. It does allow me to prep without fear of dropping the durometer too low because they're already, they're cured. They've been cured for a while. So I can be a little more aggressive, I think, on prep than other people can. Also, matter of fact, is that right rear? Is that the one I just showed you? Yes, that has 0 laps on it. 2019, 0 laps. I had popped. Uh, I had popped a tire, or maybe my friend did, Tommy, debeaded and ruined a tire. So we got a spare to fix that one set, and it sat here forever. And I had forgotten about it, and then it's new old stock. So I broke it out, I mounted it, and surfaced it, and there we go. So technically, it's new, right? That's the same as a 2024. What's going on, Brad? So yeah, pop some questions, even if whatever it is, my way, and I will do my best to answer you. But I'm trying to think what I can work on without making too much noise. I don't know. We can flip this around. You ever seen? You ever seen carburetors? Oh, orientation is locked. Oh, fine. Anyway, there's dual 420s. There's a whole lot of. All right. So if nobody's seen this before, I call this an acceleration pump. Basically, this is a snowmobile pump. So it's 3/8 line that comes out of the tank, comes up, 3/8 line. It's pulsed off the back. This is an overflow that goes back to the tank. And then these two lines feed both carburetors. So this tube, or these tubes, both of them stay full at all times. So when you have a long straightaway, it will draw off these tubes and theoretically not run out of fuel. Buller's concept. Now, is it necessary? I have heard people think no, that is not necessary. That you can just run, standard, because these carburetors, being Tillys, are pulsed off the engine. So there's the standard pulse tubes here, but it also, if there's a weak signal at all, these remain full of fuel, so you don't ever have to worry about these starving out the engine. I've run it without it. It's just a tuning thing, so you can run the settings a little leaner. Also, these are gross jets inside these carburetors, not needle and seat, ball in there. Um, and maybe I'll wander around here. This right here, uh, this contraption is a electronic power valve. So I have a right under here is the brain box that controls it. So you can set your at what RPM it opens and moves the power valve. I believe it's shoot. When do I have an opening? Is it 7,200? It starts to open like 25%, and then by 7,500 or 7,800, it's open 50%, and then by 8 grand, it's 100%. So basically, it's if I were to, if you're looking at the dyno chart, a two-stroke typically does this and then dives. So the power valve mediates that climb, so it isn't like this, that it lobes the climb like this, so it evens out the power band, so it's much more usable. It isn't as violent when it hits the pipe type of thing. So it brings it on a little smoother, a little slower. Also with the flex length, you can control that, and yeah, so we got it's pretty cool. Yeah, I can do a test, and it just cycles it on and off to make sure that works. I never actually see it work because it's just, it's a behavior thing. I've run it without it, and I've run, uh, there's a without the power valve. There's if anybody's ever run a sedan, because there's so much fuel going into a two-stroke, it has this lull. So you get back, you climb back in the throttle as fast as you can, and it goes, and then it'll take off. So the power valve mediates that, so it doesn't so bad. It doesn't make as good a power right off the throttle response, but it's good throttle response. Okay, what do we got? 2008. Yeah, that's yeah, Burris. Unfortunately, I'm behind on my Burris game. Uh, I wish I had fresh cuts and stuff like that. Uh, so I don't use foams anymore. I use just a pre-filter, and then these are this is a Spectra. It's like a 3-inch inlet. Is the biggest deal. Buller started selling these because K&Ns were I don't know if they're coming hard to come by, or these were a bit cheaper, or I don't know what the deal is. I don't care. Whatever works. Just use a decent oil, K&N or Klotz fabric oil, and it'll protect your engine just fine. I like the so there's a theory that you don't need outerwears as well. John Gardy is a friend of mine, runs opens, and he doesn't run any outerwear because whatever there's a CFM anyway, what the air filter will filter out the particles and all that, and what air per second type of thing. And he says it's plenty high to even deal with dust, blah blah blah. But my theory is you run an outerwear, you keep kind of the boulders and crap out of it, and then that allows the filter to do an even better job. It doesn't hurt anything, other than cost a little bit. So I prefer, if a little overkill, but you don't have to go crazy. You could, if you wanted to, you could run a foam filter and then an outerwear, but at some point you may be constricting the engine and the amount of air that it's taking in. So I'd be wary of that. I'd either run a foam filter, an external foam filter, or the outerwear, one of the two. But I would assume both might be, unless you're, hella, hella dusty racetrack, you might want to do that. Uh, Phenom, I wouldn't say. Burst tires, they were probably going to be a bit hard. 2015 to 17. It really depends on what track you are. So years ago, there used to be a big thing like they would have these big burst races down south, and you needed a really hard tire. You needed a burst 33 to be punching, somewhere 60 to 65. So there was a big, pull for everybody to be getting these older bursts, so they were hard enough that they didn't, destroy themselves on southern grip. So it really depends on what type of surface you're on. But I mean, bursts last forever. There's tons of meat there. I'd say, just get a decent grind on them. Get some uh, fresh rubber. Take off that top layer, and there'll be a little better bite underneath that top layer if you got a lap disc. Your tires, or however it is to sand your tires a little bit to get rid of that outer shell that has dried up a little bit. If you're getting back into it, it's not a bad thing. I wouldn't say, bursts never freaking wear out. Uh, they will dry rot a little bit. They'll start to get cracks in them. Once you see that a lot of the oils have left the surface, so I'd be wary of that. But other than that, I mean, like I said, I've won races on, up until a couple of years ago on some 2016 bursts. It depends on what the track calls for, so, But chassis, the Phenom, the great indoor chassis. We know that for a fact. Those things have run and won some really good indoor races. It's just, I'd say it's a decent chassis. I, if you're concerned about its performance, replacing things like bearings and your front hubs, stuff like that. Stuff that if you can find any vibration, some movement, anything like that, high ends for your steering, replace those components. As far as the chassis goes, I wouldn't be overly concerned. If you're just getting back into it and you don't want to spend a ton of money, don't worry about the Phenom not behaving. It's a proven chassis. But the components, I'm sure, that's quite an old chassis, so I'm sure the components on it are probably a little worn out. Unless whoever you bought it from has taken really good care and replaced those items. There's that. Oh, what's high PSC PSI? Track dependent. Uh, I personally, Hunterstown, PA used to be high bite. We used to run 55s, and I ran 6 and 7 for air pressures down there. I wouldn't say there's an air pressure that I'd say to stay away from, because I've heard of people putting 10, 12 pounds of pressure in a burris. Depends on what you want to do. Now, I think a burris behaves better, probably 3 or 4 or 4 or 5. I always do a pound split in between the two sides. Or if you're super loose, you can just even that up. But I would say your average psi on a burris is somewhere between maybe 3 and 6. And then, that's if you're going to run 3 on the left side, run 4 on the right side. If you're going to run 5 on the left side, run 6 on the outside. Because even like, I know it's a different brand, but Maxxis, I always thought that them guys ran like 8 or 9 pounds of air in them. They don't. I went down south and I ran standard, I think 5 and 6, something like that. So not that big of a deal. Oh, you're very welcome. Filter cover. Yeah. Pantyhose is a filter cover. Sure, why not? Whatever works in the storm, man. Working on my champ card. Wow, 75 cross. That's a lot. To decrease cross, there are a couple things. It depends on what staggers you're running. That is there's an easy way without making a chassis adjustment. Increase rear stagger or decrease front stagger is how you get cross out of it. If you're looking at here, we'll flip it around. We'll look right now. If you want to decrease cross, this happens to be pretty increased. Now you see up here. This spindle is all the way or almost all the way down. So this is as much as cross as it can get. Go up with this to take cross out. So up with the right, down with the left to decrease cross. And 75 does. It's a champ though, so champs are typically higher cross from what I know. I've never ran a champ, but just from what I know, people have told me and everything. But yes, I would put down your left and pick up your right to decrease cross in a chassis. Yeah, but I have uh, mixed feelings about Hunterstown. I have won a 1,000 to win open race there. I have also went to the Grand Nationals and I started 13th and I drove up the 5th. Another fantastic run. But then I've also went there 2 years ago and threw a chain 3 or 4 times, still unexplained. Matter of fact, this is the same car. This is the same setup. I went out and ran this chassis at the beginning of the year, and I have no idea how I was throwing chains, and I watched the A main. So I've missed the A main at Hunterstown. I've also done very well there. So I love the facility. I love the people that run it. Ron Pritt and them guys. Um, Fantastic facility, awesome prep track and all that. Just my I've done hit or miss there. Yeah, I would like to go back, but it's 4.5. It's about 4.5 hours for me. It's just 15. I get on what's 390 south up here, and then it breaks off into PA, and then 15, and just follow 15 all the freaking way, and it just kitty corners all the way across the state down to Hunterstown. Very fast track, yeah. You're welcome, Blake. Um, very fast track. If you, I was watching turn 3 and 4 in the 2023. Wait, what is this? 2024, 2023 Grand Nationals, and Evan C. Dude, just on a freaking rail, just ripping. And matter of fact, Caleb Woodward, I believe his name was. He was just lockstep, right behind him. I mean, probably 2-3 carts behind Evan, and they were just both just getting it. I'm like, oh, I mean, I thought I had a really good run in 2000. When was it? 2018, when I came from 13th up to 5th there. Really good run, but that pace that I was running in 2018, I might have been lap traffic there. It really, I couldn't believe how fast they were going. I mean, just barely burping the throttle wide back open, and just getting. I think he set a track record again the last time he was there. It's just like, dude, so good. That whole team. Chris is phenomenal. His dad is phenomenal. Um, Setting up a cart, working tires, everything they do. Really good people. I run. I gotta see. So yeah, I screw that up. See high performance nose on right now. I had a wing. I have some wedge panels over here. I just haven't mounted them yet. Yeah. Yep. No doubt. Uh, so here's the thing I wanted to mention. Uh, it's weird. We're racing clones. So for 2 races in a row, I got taken out. It is what it is. It's part of clone racing. It's just and I've mentioned to some of my friends there that they're like, "Yep, that's just part of the game." I mean, don't get me wrong. I've been taken out in UAS. I've probably taken out more people than I've been taken out, and I think that's probably the difference. Um, but I'm not used to being dumped. So I was getting a little frustrated, and I did not run well. So last Friday I went and ran the Reaper is 750 to win, and I was just off the pace. I unloaded slow. I couldn't get a hold of the track. The Reaper thing. It's the third time I've run Reapers. I got it better for the feature, but it kind of threw me for a loop how far off I was in practice and in qualifying. Um, I was happier finishing 8th or whatever I finished uh, than I was being, I was running at the time. I think I was challenging for 3rd. I mean, I thought I had a cart that could win, 3-4 weeks ago or whatever. But being taken out, it's crazy. I was so much faster at that race, more frustrated by being taken out. I think because I knew I had a fast cart. And last week when I was, just barely ahead of being lap traffic, I came off and I was all smiles, just yay! Like I didn't get taken out. I was so happy about that. Like just being off the pace didn't bother me as much as the fact that I didn't get wiped out. it's, it's really weird. Have you seen any wing carts around in Pennsylvania or New York? I used to run with the PA wings, but the groups seem to fall apart. Yeah, it's really weird. I thought that Metzger. I don't know if you ran with Jeff Metzger. He got into it, and Metzger used to, when I started UAS racing, he used to be kind of the man in PA. Just and as a matter of fact, I beat him at Blairsville, and it was kind of a privilege to do back then because he had been UAS champ and won all these races and this and that, and I finally got a foothold in it. I beat him at Blairsville, and for the first time, or that I was able to beat him, and then I disconnected for him a long time. We're friends and this and that, but then all of a sudden he showed up with wings, the PA wings there, and I think we ran. Was it Ransomville? No, not Ransomville. What is that one? Shoot, I forgot. Snydersville. They were there. and he was running at 500 cc 2 stroke, and I really like those the PA wings. I thought the concept was great. Matter of fact, I had considered like, man, if I put my open engine on, wing cart, could I come race with them? But they, not that I was super serious about it, but then all of a sudden the class just disappeared, just poof. It was, I haven't seen them in a long time. No, we have or we had, I won't say we have because we had a winged champ. They ran animals and stuff like that that used to run around here quite a bit. They've kind of disbanded. The PA Wings, which ran the open engines, I haven't seen them around in friggin' forever either. uh, just sign of the times, man. It's tough to keep racing when your finances are, if you're having a hard time making ends meet at home, to subject yourself to a tire bill and fuel and trailer costs and blah blah blah. The list is pretty significant to be racing, and if things are tight, yeah, it's tough. Ran the show and nice. uh, Nice. Yep. I know. I'm the, so Saturday, do I I don't think I dare. Do I run 3 classes? Do I run open and then 2 clone classes that I had decided on running, or do I not bring the open at all? I don't know. I'm undecided. I guess I will decide tomorrow night when I'm loading up whether or not I'm bringing the open or not. I mean, theoretically, I could get down there, and even if I bring the open, decide not to run it and just run the clone. Uh, I do have a truck now, so loading this thing into the back of my truck is not that big of a deal. I just need some assistance getting it out at the track. Um, and it's a long day. I mean, it's a big memorial race. So last year when I went there, it was 17 freaking hours I was at the track. So uh, hopefully it's not that long this time. But if it is, in fact, even close to that, and I'm running 2 or even 3 classes, it will occupy my time a lot better. So whereas I'm not sitting around bored twiddling my freaking thumbs. Uh, yeah. And what do I run? So currently, or did I took it off. So in a clone cart, I weigh 250 pound human, 215 pound human. I weigh 375 in my clone cart. Just a scooch, that much over. I put a 10 pound weight on it, or no, I had 20 at one time to make the 400 class, and then I was running 400 in the 375. But if I do run 2 clone classes, I'm thinking of running 350 and 375, and just being, slightly heavy in the 350 class. Um, it's neither here nor there. But I seem to perform a little better at 375 than I do 400, which is weird because you would think I'm used to a heavier cart. The open's super heavy. Um, I'm all of 440 pounds in that freaking thing. Although I took some weight off of it for my adjustments, so we'll see. Uh, yeah, that's the UAS in total they're probably the NPA, the Keystone Group is they got the races. There's pretty. I won't say there's nothing in New York because I'm currently going to go. If I run the Open, I'm going to be running with Western New York Saturday. So there is something, but we have very few races in New York anymore. Just lack of guys showing up. It is what it is. But the combination of the two, Keystone and Western New York, there may be a few guys there Saturday. Um, but yeah, if you can't get the PA wing thing going, a flat cart, put your open motor on it. I mean, you are subject to the UAS rules. So the body work parameters, and you have to run a flat cart and blah blah blah. They don't allow us to intermingle the wings with the UAS. But if you're left with no class at all but an open engine that fell within the UAS rules, why not, type of thing. Uh, so I would run clones over a flathead as well. Flatheads are they don't make them anymore. They are increasingly expensive to keep up. They do not make the power that a clone does. Matter of fact, clones, you may see eventually here. I won't say they're quite out yet. They're going to remain the engine of choice for your big races and everything. But there is I've seen a couple times that the Predator Ghost engine, cost wise, performance wise, they may be sneaking in there, stealing some of the clone spotlight, just because of what it's a box stock engine that makes fair power compared to the standard Predator engine. Those It's funny when you go to the races and you see Predator classes, you have to be watching the track or else you don't hear them. They're just out there. Just It's like, is it? Are there carts out there? Like, at least you can hear a clone, you know. But yeah, I would agree. I would agree with people that say don't get into flatheads. That I get the desire to keep the class alive, but I'm a two-stroke guy, and I can tell you, I feel the same way about KT 100s. And there's just little pockets of places around. Hunterstown, PA, is one of them that runs KT 100s, Burst Money Series. Uh, a little bit of the Northwest guys, they have KT 100 classes out there, but you really don't hear of them. And that's the same with unless there's specific races, the Big O, stuff like that, where you have open flatheads, standard flatheads. They don't make the power even a standard clone makes. So I I would I would sway that way if I were you. Just my opinion. I have not cut the Reapers yet, but I'm thinking about it. They're sitting over there dirty. Uh, I have yet to try and cut tires since I did the one video of cut my own tires. Um, I still lack the confidence in order to do it. I plan on doing it with the Reapers just because they're fairly inexpensive, and if I happen to, make some janky mistakes, that no big deal. But I do plan on it. I plan on surfacing them. I've heard there's some speed to be made by having a thinner tread on the Reapers. And I've heard it from multiple people now. Now I have yet to find what they like as far as product on them. Obviously I'm a track that guy. Um, track that guy. So finding exactly what they like. So far, black sand and acrosol or quick dry. Uh, yeah, track tack has quick dry, which is a replacement for acrosol. Um, if that works really well. I definitely so in my race last Friday, I started off on super low pressure to get the things to roll over, and the cart entirely. I made a chassis adjustment, I made tire pressure adjustment, and I loaded the tire with black sand and acrosol, and it came on about 20 laps too late. uh, and that is probably due to the depth of the tread. It took that long to get heat into the tire or to make the tire react. They're definitely their own animal. I still, people got beef with Reapers. I still do not have beef with Reapers. I think it's just a matter of figuring out what exactly they like. Um, and for the cost, it's well within my limits to start playing around with them. I just haven't done it. I ran them one time straight up, pretty much straight up, or no, not straight up. I ran them over propped internally. That was a bad idea. The second time I ran them was on the open. It was okay. I think because you're like I think it's Denny Hamlin when he talks about Goodyear and tire saturation. You're getting the tire to really contact the ground and build heat. They behaved really well on the open, I thought. And then this time, that was the same set that I ran at that 750 to win. And I just think that there's not enough pressure on it. And I got a bag full of excuses. The class was 365, and I came across the scales at 392. It's not good. That's yeah. But yeah, I need to cut them. I need to play with them. Uh, yeah, yeah. I loved every time I watch the footage of the big O race. I love that stuff. I know that they're not as fast as the UAS guys, but man, they are freaking getting around there. They are getting around there just fine. Uh, yep. Yeah. Inside prop is they weren't kidding. So here's the I'm forever. They told you that Vaga yellows do not need internal prop when those first came out into market. Yeah. That set has 4 ounces in them right there, and this set has 2 ounces, 2 or 3. Right on them. I think it's scrubbed off. Anyway, that's probably 2 or 3 ounces internal on those. And I just abused the crap out of them in my open. So when I heard the Reaper, oh, don't put any more than 50 cc's of, internal or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, psh. So I hit them hard. And that one set is still setting over there because of how they behaved at that track. And I was just like, whoa. I mean, they shut off after about 5 or 6 laps. It did not appreciate it. So lesson learned, but it was worth the attempt because I had heard, tire manufacturers before, like, oh, here, mention this, don't do this. And it's just like, come on, man. So I know not to be that aggressive. Now, on the other hand, the set that I ran last Friday there has some internal in it, not crazy internal, but a decent internal, and I think that behaved okay. Um, I definitely say down south you probably don't need it any internal at all. I mean, from what I know, lots of outside surfacing come off the track. If you have a tire grinder there, if you can surface them, whatever, get them a fresh surface, and then yes, black sand and acrosol. It seems to be they're a good friend to them because it's a good grip builder, but not aggressive enough to attempt to soften the tread. I think that might be part of the problem because from what I know, these are the consistency of the tire seems more like an EL from the Maxxis EL from back in the day, very plasticky. Although these have a bit more bite in them, so there's something about when you try and soften them, when you try and get too aggressive with the tread, that it rejects it. It's not a bad thing. But I think too aggressive a prep just didn't. I got a little aggressive on one set for the heat race. It didn't like it, and that's why I went to the black sand for the feature, and that seemed to work the best. I just air pressure wise, I think I went too low. I should have started a little higher. Um, is what it is. Uh, no tire rules. Every man for himself. Yeah, or woman. Yeah, yeah. The thing about tire rules is that. There is going to be a dominant tire no matter what. So no, nothing against bursts. I love bursts. I think bursts, when bursts are on, they are freaking on. When everybody runs them, it's great. I don't disagree with it. But I can tell you the track I'm going to Saturday is a burst track, and I can tell you on an open, Vaga is the way to go. Burris can stay in the realm. You can be, but you're still 2 3 tenths off. Vegas just they work really good on that type of surface. So no matter what track you go to, there is going to be a dominant tire. And unfortunately, with if everybody had an open tire rule, um, some tires are just going to get left on the shelf because they're not going to work on certain tracks, and you're going to find Vaga or whomever doing better than others, and then that's going to make owner of tire companies angry, and that's why they have tire. They lock up they offer incentives to buy our tires and run only our tires there. Totally understand. Don't even got to resurface them unless they start fuzzing up. Just try to flip them when you can. Well, yeah, it's real possible. Now, what I did like about the horsepower nationals that Reaper put on, that I get it, and it's expense, and not everybody can do it, but it was whatever 10 grand to win the Evan one. But everybody buy their tires there, so you're regulated to what you can afford, but everybody's on the same playing field, sort so to speak. Had I gone, I was only going to be able to afford two sets. Compared to some people, I'm sure we're hitting the track with a brand new set every single time. But hit if there are tracks that are going to allow not do that, big races or whatever, and you can bring your. Still curious about the cure rate on tires because we know that cured maxes behave way better than fresh maxes. I know that for a fact because I'm so behind on my maxes game that I always show up to these big races with too fresh of tires. I haven't cycled them and all that stuff, but I'm curious if, because the cutting thing works really well on Reapers, if heat cycling them and letting them set is going to prove to be better than fresh sets every single time. It's just things that I wonder. These are, if you're ever curious where some of these videos come from, it's stuff I think about, and I like to ponder and put out there. But oh man, yeah. Also, one thing is I like a bit of rear stagger, especially in the clone. I can, with the open, you can kind of get away with not a ton of stagger because there's so much horsepower, and it does funky things. If you get too much stagger in a UAS ride, it does funky things to exit and entry, and all over the place, just because it just buzzes the tire so easy that there's complications when you run too much stagger. But in the clone, if you're running the bull rings that I run, I like to run a lot of rear stagger, and I can tell you, the Reapers that I've been dealing with, if you like an inch rear stagger, fantastic, because we got you. You mount, and we freaking got you. But if you like something like an inch and a half, like I do, you're in for a battle. I heated those outside tires at 140 degrees for a long time. Super inflated. Matter of fact, I believe I was half-inch past where I wanted to be. And I got them hot, and I dunked them, and I set the track just like everybody does with cold water and everything like that. And it wasn't but for 2 days of having them somewhat a normalized. I still kept a little extra air in them, but more normalized air than being inflated that much, and they shrunk right back down to where they were. They are a resilient tire. They do not like to stretch. Uh, I'll give them that too. They Whatever they got going on is it's like, here's what you get, and that's all that you get. So trying to shrink the left rear is damn near impossible. If you can get it down to 32 and 5/8, you're doing fantastic. But typically, I mounted what, 3 sets, 4 sets. You're getting right around 33, maybe just a shy of 33 on your left rears. It's tough. Okay, I don't like about buying the track. Okay, I read that one. Sometimes I don't go to certain tracks. True. Yes, that is definitely a thing. That if this is a risk that some tracks will take. If they have a tire rule, that might scare people away. I mean, it's so you split hairs. I'm an open tire advocate because I ran UAS, and that's what we have been forever. You can't, the only thing that UAS will allow a track to do is say no treads because they think it tears up the track. That's the one thing that that. But if we're UAS and we're going to whatever track, then we run open tires. So no matter what, if you run burst, if you run a Maxxis, if we come in, we can run whatever we want. That's just one of the things that UAS is. So I'm so used to that. But on the other hand, when I go to an AMS, when I go to a wherever, and it's a burst only tire rule, or if it's a Reaper tire race, I'm fine with it. I don't have to take every tire in my freaking uh, my trailer. 2 or 3 sets. Okay, I'm good for the night. So it's depends on what you have, but I can see how if you try and go to a track without any uh, without the right tire, and that's not going to happen. Um, Run open, so you can run open tire, I guess. uh, yeah, that's they definitely. I mean, not for nothing. Again, I don't bash on Burris. I don't bash on uh, tire companies in general. I think they all have a purpose. They all have a. I don't hate any type of tire whatsoever. Now, maybe Unillies. Those things were terrible. Burris are notorious for. A matter of fact, I use Track Tech Blue Tire Wash, and I'd be washing off a tire, and I got a bit of air in there, and then all of a sudden, right where the imprint is, SS33 or SS11 or whatever, all these bubbles come up. I'm like, huh, you think it's leaking air there? I'm not quite sure. Oh, thank you, kind sir. I appreciate you stopping by. Yeah, uh, this is interesting because it's just me out here in my barn and I'm talking to a phone. Um, but I appreciate you guys coming by. It gives me something to do on Thursdays. The only thing I have to do tonight. I got scale. That's right. Don't let me forget the scale. Holy crap. Um, which isn't that big a deal. I'll have everything set up here. The only thing I think I'll have to have my son help me get the open onto the scales because I can do it with the. Oh, I gotta charge that. That's another thing. I gotta charge the electric lift. I probably should put that card on that, but I gotta go. I gotta take my dog for a walk after this, and then when I come back, I'll be scale. Nope, I gotta shoot a video. Wow, so much to do, so little time. Yeah, uh, tire wise, yeah. Yeah, I got 11s over there. They're notorious for losing air too. You never know what you're gonna get though at AMS. Weather wise, I did show up last time I was at AMS, and I'm gonna run 33s, and I had them on there, and the temp was gonna drop down to the 50s, and I'm like, it ain't time yet, but I'm pretty sure this is a bigger race. There should be more carts. Track's going to get hard, dry, slicked off. I think 33s are going to be the way to go, and I'm going to be wiping the crap out of them older 2019s in order to keep them up with everybody. We'll see. Maybe maybe it'll be an advantage of mine. We'll see. Uh, you don't know unless you try, and I don't have $300 for a brand new set of bursts, so is what it is. Uh, there's so many races I want to go to. Matter of fact, I was talking with Kyle, um, and he was talking about the Warning, Scott Warning Memorial. I would love to go to that. Uh, Finances. There's so many races I'd love to. There's the Spooktacular, I guess, down in Hunterstown. I still have Maxis that I could run there. I think it's open tire. Well, it'd be open, so it's open tire. I could run those there. Um, it's the cheddar. It's and timing with everything. So that this isn't anything new to anybody else, but I trying to balance work, racing, family. We have an RV that's right there. You can see it. That my wife got, so we can go RVing. So we have to go do that. Family time. My wife's. I got now. I got it. Well, my cousin's getting married in October. I got to make that. So that's on a Saturday. I definitely can't race on that day. It's the I long for the days of summer so I can go race, but also there's so much going on when you're in New York, when you're in the Northeast in general. You try and cram so much stuff between April and October, and it's just like you run out of weekends. It is crazy. How you doing, John? Uh, and then if you honestly, if I take a weekend off to do nothing, I feel like I'm behind already. Oh, it's freaking terrible. I got to put some air in those Vegas. There's so much to do. My wife, I pick on her because she makes lists. I probably should make lists. Therefore, I don't forget stuff. I've been somewhat okay with remembering to do stuff, but there's times that, holy crap, uh, I forget to do this. I forget to do that. Besides scaling, I think I'm okay. Um, I think I'll be all right. Should I run the open Saturday? I'm gonna get my butt kicked. It's only the second time this year I've been on the freaking thing. Whole new setup. I got a feeling it's not gonna go that well. Well, I've been losing on a clone, so what's the difference if I lose on an open, right? I do have one win this year, and it was the very first race of the year. I think it caught everybody off guard. I hit the tires right, used the SAA grape, and got my 11s to bite just right, and got the one W this year. But since then, it's been a rough go. Uh, yeah, I'll probably end up running it, even if it doesn't go well. Why not? You know, um, could be worse things. And I probably should. I mean, I had planned on running it one more time this year anyway, so we'll see. It I will give you this, that clone racing is more difficult on tires. You have to be more precise. You have to, all these things that I've experienced. Um, but they are, as far as I come off the track, and I got to worry about tires, and I clean the chain and I lubricate the chain, and I look at the RPM, make sure I'm within where, oh, maybe I got to put a tooth on or something like that. And then I just worry about tires, and that's it. And then I put the tires on and I go race. To where's the open? See, is your gearing right? Is this behaving? Now I got to deal with flex length and carburetor settings and this and that. And they're a lot of fun. They are the violence of power is fantastic, but also it's just like once I got in this thing, I was like, I get it. I get why people run these things. It takes a different kind of mindset to run them. A different skill set to get them to go around the corner. But definitely less work off the track. Like I don't have to worry about all that stuff. You can actually concentrate on tires only and think about, all right, what am I going to do? Is my stagger correct? And I'm not, well, with the exception of one track, I don't, the bursts and stuff, I don't wipe nearly as much with the clone as I do with the open. Because the open will take it. What will what do to what? What am I missing? Oh well, wait, hold on. What will the tough mint actually do to the Duro Predator? I need hard burst surgeries. Mint will all right, so mint, we'll just talk about how it works. The component that makes it oily, that makes it bite, um, is a component that is in black sand. It's just there's more of it in the mint. So when you wipe mint on, it should only drop the durometer 2, maybe 3 points initially, because there's going to be a certain element of it biting into the outside of the tire. Now, what mint in general does is it adds a bunch of bite because it's adding oils into the surface of the tire, and then it's strengthening those molecules on the top of it. So I always considered it if I wanted to lock a durometer at a certain durometer, say I brought a tire down into 45 and I wanted it to stay on 45 but have a bunch of bite into it, I'd wipe mint on it. Now, mint works better the longer you have it set on there, 2 to 3 weeks. The longer you have it on there, the better the mint is going to affect the tire. You can run it. I've heard of people wipe it in a track. I would consider not doing that on anything that was super sandy, though, because of I got to do a video on that. Oily preps and sand, that they don't work well together. They have a tendency to, slick off the tire because that oil traps the sand and then it makes a slippery surface. So you got to be careful of that. But if you allow mint to set long enough, it will penetrate into the tire. You don't have to concern yourself with that anymore. But what it's going to do is, it is going to, if you wanted a slightly harder tire, it's not going to drop the durometer as much as something like better and GoPro or something like that, or blue GK1 blue or something like that. Mint is going to drop them just a little bit to start with. The longer you let them set, matter of fact, if you want to put them out in the sun, it'll help the cure time, it'll help it penetrate, and it should help the overall tire. So you can try that if you would like. uh, yeah, it's there was a instance one time I was down in Virginia with some friends, and Maxis were the tire of choice. So we go down there, Pinks and Blues, and he had wiped mint on, and then he was complaining. He's just like, "Hey, this dropped my durometer. They said it wasn't going to drop durometer. They said it will drop it just slightly." Like he was real fixated on he needed a 55 durometer, and it had dropped the durometer down to a 52 because it is a chemical. It's going to bite into the tread. It's going to do certain things, but the longer it sets, that durometer will come right back up to where it once was, or it should at least. I think I have a video on that. It's in the if you go to my channel and look in Track Tack series, I think I did mint. Did I do mint? I've been, I won't say slacking. I just got done saying to you guys, I have so much going on. It's tough. I have some Track Tech products that I really need to do videos on to add to the Track Tech series. I just haven't had a chance to do it. I shot one and I was unhappy with the way what I said. It's not that the information was incorrect, but sometimes I'm hypercritical of, if I'm representing a product, I don't want to be overly goofy. I don't mind, showing some personality, stuff like that. That's just the way I am. But if I'm representing a product, if I'm trying to explain a product, I try to be as factual as possible. And I felt rewatched it, what I recorded, and I was like, I can't. It's not that Randy would be upset at the video that I did, but it wasn't up to par with what I think I could do. So there's that. It's one of those things. I am a bit of an artist, or at least I used to be a bit of an artist, and I used to draw, and I'm hyper critical of doodles I did. Like, not for nothing, I drew most of my tattoos. I know that's pretty simplistic, but I actually tattooed that on me. And yeah, I got some on my legs. I did tattooing for a while when my daughter was young. Um, don't remember it being on there, but I might be wrong. Yeah, if not, I'll have to check that out. And if it is not on there, then I will surely have to do one. There's about a mint right there. Um, but yeah, I SST5. I got to do that one. There's happened with my volume move there. SST5. I got to do one on that one. I don't know if I did Ruby. I might have done Ruby. Kryptonite. There's just a couple that I didn't have. Yeah, this is my volume's being weird. Anyway, I mine could probably deal with it now. I just ran out of time. It's not so much that when they stop gripping a lot. If you're running against a newer tire, that a newer tire by default is going to have more oils in it. So if you're running, if you've run a tire, or if you've been abusive on it, say you've run something like Goat on a burris, which Goat works really good on burris, but it will dry out the tire eventually. If you're starting to not be able to get the same performance out of it, something like Tire Tough Mint, or even like automatic transmission fluid, ATF, will add an element of oils back into the tire. But I don't know that there's exactly how you look at it and, hey, it's time type of thing. But if you think that tires starting to lose some grip, if you're thinking that you need a bitier tire without being too soft, you'd obviously say you don't want a burst 33 to be too soft for a typical situation. I've never had a burst a burst 33 anyway, any lower than 45 durometer. They have always been 50 to 60 durometer when they have been called on to work the best. It's always been the case. So maybe if you're running it in the 50s and you don't think you have enough grip, maybe wipe a set with some mint, set them to the side, set them out in the sun, 2 3 coats of that, let it do its thing, and then try that set and see if it improved. It should offer those, some of those elements of oils back into the tire. But yeah, degreaser will, yeah, that's gonna, if you degrease the tire, that's pulling oils back out of the tire. So you're, I don't know. Degreasing a tire is eventually going to kill a tire because it's constantly pulling oils out of the tire. So once you've pulled enough of the oils out, I don't degrease tires up here, so it's tough. Uh, there's a lot of monkey see, monkey do stuff going on. I know it works. I know people have won races on it. I totally understand. I don't unless you have a just an uber gripped up track that you got to get rid of the oils in the tire, and that might be some of it. The oils in the tire, if it is a sandy track at all, it's not going to grip nearly as well unless it's drier. So that might be the case of the degreaser. I totally understand that, but I would say eventually it is going to kill a tire. It's going to pull the the oils out of the tire, and then make it not be worth it. The use of tire tough brown is to, in general, make a tire tougher. So the same concept, but from the inside out. So I don't think it locks a duro as much, but I like to blend tire tough brown with things because if you're internally prepping something, you might as well add a component of bite to it. Say SQS, GK1, something like that. But brown in general is going to add oils back into the tire, but from the inside out. The reason that tire tough mint isn't used from the internal is because whatever one of the oils will not pass through the tread. That's why there's two different ones to where the brown will and the mint will not. You can absolutely. If you think the tires are drying out, if you're thinking they're losing the oils, they don't have as much grip as they once had, or if you just in general want to make that tire last a little bit longer. I mean, bursts last quite a while anyway, but it's not a horrible idea to just roll some on the inside. You're not going to see a super duro drop. You're not if you're just running tire tough brown on internal. You're not going to see a huge change, but the tire itself, the carcass itself, should last a bit longer. It will introduce, a bit of those oils back in the tire and make the tire just perform better. In theory, depends on what you're doing to the outside. If you're using degreaser on it, might not be a bad idea. Using brown on the inside to replenish some of those of which you're taking out. But again, if you don't want an oily tire, do you add oil to it? But do you add oil to it so you can remove the oils from it and keep the tire relevant? That's tires are so freaking finicky, man. Uh, but what time is it? Holy crap! Track dependent. Parker Shasta. Yeah, I don't want to. I'm sorry. I apologize if I said your name wrong. I like to get durometer before I hit the track, but that is track dependent. Now, you have to consider this. If you drop a durometer to a certain point before you get to the track, depending on how low you're going, when you get to the track and it's already too low, if the day's surface requires something harder, you either need another set of tires, or don't touch your tires again. You might run into problems if you show up with too soft a duro. So it might be worth it unless you're talking about a super low duro. If you say I have a bag of yellow and I know the track is going to call for a durometer of 35, I'm going to want to get it down. I'm going to want to get it down into the 40s at least, so I can hit it at the track and know full well that I'm going to be in the 30s. But if you're unsure of that durometer that you might need for that day, dropping it prematurely could cost you in the end, because the track could harden up, it could get real good, and you don't need a durometer that low. So I would err to the side of do everything at track as best you can. But it's not a bad idea that, if you know that you're going to need a lower durometer, go ahead, do the work at home. Therefore, you don't have to worry about it when you get to track. If you don't do it till you get to track, chances are you're just going to have a more long run tire. It's going to, because it's going to be slightly harder, it's going to come on better at the end of a run. But there's that. People. Yeah. Yeah. Creosote was, I've never used creosote. I've been around buddies who've used creosote. I specifically, it's kind of like hard drugs. Uh, I may or may not have been around them. I don't do them on purpose because I know I'm going to love it. So I didn't do creosote because I didn't want to become addicted to that stuff and know that there's nothing better than creosote. uh, any idea which Track X products would be similar to an immersed purple? Hi, honey. I'm still live. Yes. That's my wife. I'll answer a couple questions here, and then I definitely got to go. Um, purple. It's hard to get a hold of track tech. Not so much. Unfortunately, I don't know. I've never used Antimer Purple. I've heard good things about it. It's tough. Um, if it's just I want to say a basic. I don't mean that as an insult. If it's just a basic prep, um, something like GK1 is going to be a standard, um, kind of a go-to prep for me for a little bit of softening and a little bit of bite. Um, but it really depends on what you want to do. The basics, I tell anybody, if it's soft and wet and you need bite, BTGP uh, or Topaz. If it's a medium grade, I would say SST or AT2. If it's dry and dusty, black sand, black sand, black sand. Those are, kind of the basics. And then, if you just need something to fire off a tire, orange or SQS if it's a little colder. Great on moist, really mealy K. Yeah, that's yeah, Creo. I also have some not a little off topic here. I have Krug over there too. That works really well. I don't know what's in it. It's good stuff. Might have creosote in it. Not quite sure. It works. It works when you need it to. Haven't run it in a year or two. I thought I'd pick some up and see how it works. It works, right? Yeah, the green. It's 2023. Yeah, it's unfortunately older tires do eventually. I don't. We're just my tires are going to be fine. I don't care that they're 5 years old. But all right, guys. Sorry if I didn't get to some of the questions there, or if I missed something. But my wife is. It's starting to get dark, and I'm supposed to walk my dog, so I do have to get off here. I appreciate all you coming by. I really do. I can't believe even 20 people want to sit here and listen to me ramble about stuff, but it is fun to engage with you guys. I think it's definitely it's definitely something for the channel, and something to get to know people and answer live questions. I really enjoy doing this. That's why I keep on doing it. So maybe have a guest on next week. Maybe not. We'll see. But yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go walk my dog. If you haven't seen Norman on my Facebook page, I have a wiener dog who is somewhat paralyzed, so he has a wheelchair. It's cute, but it's also a pain in the butt. He's a very needy wiener dog. But all right, guys, I will. I'll see you. I'll see you next week, or Sunday for a video. So all right, bye.